Crossroads Football Live, presented by Victory Kia, with Sports Director Max Williams and Weekend Sports Anchor Ray Robinson. Sponsored by Atson Offers Velocity Power Sports, Palace Bingo, and Frost Bank. Crossroads Football Live starts now.
Welcome everyone to Crossroads Football Live here for the first time in the studio here with their host here, Max Williams. And tonight we highlight and find out every Crossroads team about how they team. And on the matter of moments, we're going to talk about Ray Robinson, who highlighted our game of the week here between the Industrial Cobras and the Edna Cowboys. But before we get to that, we're going to tonight's viewer poll, where we asked everyone here at home. And guess what? That is not the viewer poll, but we looked at the viewer poll earlier in the week and we saw a lot of people choose the Edna Cowboys. That was about 63% of you said that. About 37% of you thought it was the Industrial Cobras for the Lavaca River rivalry. But would that turn out to be the case? Let's check out the highlights here right now in this one between the Industrial Cobras and the Edna Cowboys. And these two teams, when you looked at it, you had new coaches, a lot of new star players here for both of these teams. And who would kind of prevail in this one? Because these two teams, Edna had a great year last year under their new head coach. For Industrial, they're trying to get into for their team. And guess what? Starting off here for Edna, look at this play right here from Rylan Slusher. He gets out to the outside, makes a big time play, gets inside the goal line. But then a couple plays later, how about this quarterback, Trevor Floyd? He's the new man in charge, taking over for Chase Schubert. He finds a way into the end zone for the touchdown, and Edna would get in there for 6. And guess what? This would turn out to be more touchdowns and touchdowns for Edna. The final score here in this game would turn out to be a complete, look at this, 40-2. And actually, that is officially going to be final in this game. Yes, Industrial only could get 2 points of safety in the game. And again, for Edna, took care of business, winning their 40-2 in that one. Now, afterwards the game, we had a chance where we talked to our 25 News Now weekend sports anchor, and Ray Robinson was at tonight's game of the week between these two rivals. He had a chance to catch up with the head coach, Jamie Dixon, about this big-time win for the Edna Cowboys.
Game of the week just wrapped up, which saw the Edna Cowboys walk away with the victory in impressive fashion. Final score 46-2. And one of the coaches, Coach Dixon, one of the guys responsible for leading this team to success. Coach, how are you feeling?
I feel good. You know, at the end of the week, you want to be 1-0, and that was our goal for this week, and so we accomplished it. So I feel good.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the score is indicative of you guys' defense, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say it for clarity. I mean, it was just a great defensive outing. What's some of the magic that was behind it? Like, what was the play that set the tone for you guys?
I don't know if there's a single play. I mean, we just, we got a fast defense. We're utilizing speed. We're not as big as Edna's been in the past, but we're pretty fast on defense, and we swarmed to the ball, and and we just told our guys, have fun tonight and cut them loose.
Absolutely. And do you think, a rivalry game was one of the reasons why those guys was able to have fun and stuff?
Oh, yeah. With it being a rivalry game, you know each other. We're 10 miles apart. I'm real familiar with them. And, so having a rivalry game week one, definitely set the tone for it.
Absolutely. And I think the tone has been well set. So, what's the biggest takeaway from tonight's game as you guys look to Bay City next week?
Seeing what we could do, we wanted to come out and establish the run game, and we were able to do that. Our offensive line did a good job. Quarterback made some good reads. He pulled some of them on, some on reads that he has. And our running backs hit the hole, and you got to be able to throw the ball, and we're continuing to get better at that. And and we got to look forward to a couple of tough games coming up. You got Bay City and Refugio coming up.
Absolutely, Coach. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir.
Best of luck to you guys.
All right, thank
yes,
you.
sir. Max, back to you.
All right, Ray. Well, it was very tough there to kind of see there for Industrial fans. 40-2 there in that victory. But another game we're going to look at was last year's 2A Division I state champions in the Ganado Indians, as they've had trying to get a big-time win over the Van Fleck Leopards. And this one, Ganado, big-time play out there to Austin Pena from Landon Arriaga, gets in the end zone, and Ganado would take the early lead. But how about Logan Burris? This kid bullies through a couple people, gets a couple man miss there against for Van Fleck, and he gets down there in the pylon for Ganado again. But then afterwards, look at this play right here. He stands there, waits a little bit, has a little bit of a little dance there to get out there, and he makes a big-time play because, again, Logan Burris, this is a kid that is outstanding to watch for Ganado. And for Ganado, they would end up getting this big-time win and victory. Let's check out the final score, everyone, for this game here. And this one would end up being 48-14 Ganado taking care of business. And next week, they're going to be at the Bowling Bulldogs there in week 2 in that matchup. Now, how over to Hallettsville versus Shiner, the 2A Division II state runner-ups there last year in the Shiner Comanches. And again, they got a new quarterback in charge as well, and Jake Simper. And again, got a big-time play, not from Simper, though. How about Jarvis Williams getting inside the goal line there for Shiner? And they would score a couple plays later and then get the big-time PAT to get there to victory. Big-time play out to the outside, and he would rush there and get into the end zone. Shiner gets the big-time play. And again, over for the Comanches, though, this is a team that has to, again, find their way to keep the ball rolling because they got big-time plays from their offense and would lead to a big-time victory. Let's check out the final score here between Shiner and Hallettsville, 39-7. I mean, Shiner, I thought last year they lost to Hallettsville last year, and they were down 3 games in a row. Well, guess what? This year they start off strong, 39-7. They get to host Rice Consolidated there next week at home, while Hallettsville, they could travel out to Gonzales there next week. Now, stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live. After the break, we're going to check out how Victoria East and, again, how Victoria West did there out there for the both games. Also, look out for Tidehaven, Palacios, and Goliad. All that coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Victory Auto Group, where the customer always wins.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Crossroads Football Live. We just had a couple games that we thought were going to be top playoff teams to watch for last season. Turned out to be some blowouts. So will we keep that trend going here? We look at Victoria East Titans. Well, let's check out here the highlights. East Titans last year under first-year head coach John Ford. They went 3-7, and they're really looking to turn the page here to start this season because they got a new quarterback in charge in Didra Callis. And again, they did a nice little play here, a little dump-off pass to get a couple of yards. Look at that little bully right there trying to get a big extra yards. But guess what? This team, for their defense, made it start off hot. They got some big-time plays, but at the end of the day, the offense just turned the ball over too many times. I mean, look at this right there. You fumble it and fumbles it again there, and that would lead into a couple plays later where the quarterback decides, hey, Caleb McDougal finding into the end zone to a big-time player at the end zone there for a touchdown there for Georgetown. That's Xavier Warren, number 7. And again, for Georgetown Eagles, they would win this game 44-0 there. That was the final score in this one. Actually, it was 27-0, so a little bit not too crazy in the final score, but still, for East, they're going to have to turn around there next week because, again, the team they get to face there next week is the team we're going to look at in our next highlights here in the Victoria West Warriors, where yesterday they made a big-time statement over for West this season. They won this game at the end of the day. It's still going on 44-6 for West. Over here to the for the Tidehaven game in this one. Again, Tidehaven Palacios, two teams that we're looking at right now, had two different coaches in Travis Hoffer. And again, for Tidehaven, they got a quarterback coach as well, and David Lucio, and their state 7-on-7 champion. So let's look at the highlights here for both this game here between both teams. And it turned out again for Tidehaven, they got some big time plays. I mean, obviously, look at the defense here for Tidehaven, making a couple plays to get the guy down there in the goal line. And then Cale Russell, nice little bootleg out to the outside. It's a nice play out there to Rocky Garcia. That's number 4 right there for the touchdown for the Tidehaven Tigers. And again, the defense for Tidehaven, that was the key for me this season. How would they do? They shut out, again, the new quarterback in charge for Palacios, Alex Weaver. And again, this game was not even close. Let's look at the final score here in this one. 72. Yes, everyone, you read that correctly. 72-0 there. Tidehaven would get the victory here in this one. And again, for Palacios, they're going to have to shake that off because they go to Ganado High School to face the St. Joseph Flyers, which will reveal their score later on. And for Tidehaven, they get to be playing Goliad, a really tough team to finish off there the season. But before we keep going into our highlights, let's go look at our Tweak to TV here for tonight, where I'm going to highlight our first episode of the CFL podcast. We kind of had all the teams we're previewing here in South Texas area, so if you want to listen to that, just go to Spotify, and if you want to check any bonus coverage, you can hear me and weekend sports anchor Ray Robinson talk about everything going on here in South Texas. This will air every Monday nights, everyone, so please tune in. Now over back to the Goliad Tigers, team that I think can make a very deep run here this season. Again, they face Tidehaven there next week, but guess what? They got a big-time matchup versus the East Bernard Bramas, and this one turned out to a battle to start. East Bernard got on the board early here, did a nice couple breakaway tackles for East Bernard, and they would find the end zone here a couple yards there later, but the Bramas would take the early lead 7-0. But next play after that, look at Lamont Franklin. This kid, he's electric. I watched him there again in the preseason, and this is what he can do. He took it all the way to the house, and this game would go there back and forth because a couple plays later, look at Goliad here, taking their time and then finding the way to get there in the end zone. Gets a nice little play for the extra point on that one. But this game was very close here between these both teams. Let's look at the quick final score between this one. This ended up being Goliad winning 24-14 here over the East Bernard Braves. It was a really tough battle. And again, I think that's good for Goliad being a little battle tested going into that match with Tidehaven next week, knowing those two teams are very top out in the 3A ranks. Now stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live as we keep going, talking about some more district teams on our area. And we're going to take a look at Calhoun Yoakum as well, and a couple other games, and Cuero Columbus and Refugio. All those teams coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Palace Bingo.
All right, Crossroads, before we got to the break, I mentioned one game that we kind of had forgot about between the Calhoun Sandcrabs. They had to travel up north past the Yoakum Bulldogs. And Calhoun, they head in this one just like Edna Cowboys and Industrial. They have a new head coach in charge in Stephen Hernser. He brings kind of a new style out there going to Yoakum. So would that be successful? Let's check out the highlights here right now. And the Sandcrabs, they started off here very, very hot in this game. They had a nice little run again from star there again, Isaiah Cabrales, and you can see right there, there's the play right here from Isaiah Cabrales. Gets a nice little play out there to the outside and gets out there to out for a big play. But their quarterback was a main issue. I was very curious to know who their quarterback was, but guess what? He stepped up though in a big way. I mean, first of all, when's the last time you seen Calhoun throw the football like that? They've been a triple option offense, makes a big time play out there a couple yards later. Then guess what? The quarterback then would call his own number there for the touchdown there for Calhoun. But guess what? This battle was back and forth between both of these teams, between Yoakum, as their defense made some big plays. But at the end of the day, this was a dogfight. Let's check out the final score here in this one between these both teams. Yoakum would survive a close one versus Calhoun. I don't think this is going to discourage your Calhoun 23-16 because for the Sandcrabs, they get to host back at home Sinton there next Friday, while Yoakum, they're going to get a very angry Industrial team knowing they lost Valley to Edna there early in the show. Now over to a top battle up in Columbus, Texas, between the Cuero Gobblers as they face the Columbus Cardinals. And Cuero, big time victory. This is probably the shocker of the night right now. Beating Columbus, the 3A Division I state champions. And again, for Cuero, this is a team of destiny. Walker Deeds, Jackson Marine, got a lot of big time players, and they host a very talented Lavernia Bears squad out there home at next Friday. Over to the 2A Division I, the Furio Bobcats had some high expectations under Drew Cox. And guess what? Their running back, Xander Wills, showed out too. This guy made some big time runs, got 2 touchdowns. We actually got a little spotlight to highlight here, our boy Xander Wills. Check out here his kind of stats overall. He had 16 carries, 169 yards, 4 touchdowns, not just 4 touchdowns. And this is his first game, everybody. I mean, last year for Refugio, they had Jordan King, who was a big-time running back. And guess what? Xander Wills doing the exact same way. And for Refugio, they have a short week. They have a short week, though, there for Refugio there. They're facing their London on Thursday night. They'll be on the road there on Thursday night. They'll be at 7 p.m. Now, Crossroads football fans, it's also time we want to show out your little spirit there for our CFL fan cam, where you can snap a pic at the game, hashtag CFL fan cam, and you might get highlighted on our next CFL show. So grab your camera, rally all your friends, and let's make this season one to remember. Now, before we hit the break, let's check out one more other quick score there. Victoria St. Joseph Flyers, they had to go out to Grenado High School to face their Katy Harmony Wildcats. And the St. Joseph Flyers, they would get this victory easily on this one. I checked out the score, 61-0. St. Joe would get the victory there. And guess what? That's actually 62, so one more point actually to get with it. But still, an easy blowout there over the Harmony Wildcats. Now they get to face a Palacios team that's very angry, just like Industrial, next week out at Grenado High School. And now stay with us here as we're going to highlight a couple more lightning round of scores here coming up. And also, we're going to check out how the Bloomington Bobcats did here tonight as well. That's all coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
You can't have high school football without the beat of the marching bands. Crossroads Football Live is excited to spotlight talent in our local high schools with our Band of the Week segment. Every week, we'll pick one band to feature on Crossroads Football Live. Get your cameras and show us your band under the Friday night lights. Go to crossroadstoday.com/contest to nominate. Tune in to CFL every Friday night at 10:35 to see who's marching to the top. This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Frost Bank.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Crossroads Football Live. We still have a couple of Crossroads teams that are battling out their big-time teams. We're going to give you a couple quick scores here just in a matter of moments. But first, let's check out how the Bloomington Bobcats did. They took care of the victory over Woodsboro, 47-8 there for Bloomington. They got big production from Aiden and Amari Gardner there to get the victory for the Bobcats. They're going to face the Louise Hornets at home there next week. Over to the Yorktown Wildcats, where they had a high-scoring game here in this one between the Carson City Badgers. It was 56-48 there, Carson City. Again, last year, this was also a high-score game between both of these teams. So, again, for Yorktown now, they're going to hope they can kind of battle back as they face the Banquette Bulldogs. They'll be on the road there next week. How about El Campo and Wharton? This game was actually the 116th time these two teams, again, are now battled out against each other in week one. And El Campo kind of get a big-time win, 41-18. That's good for them because last year they lost 5 straight finishing off the season. And again, for El Campo, they got some big production there as they're going to face Brian Rudder next week, while Wharton, they travel out to the Houston area to face Houston Worthing. That'll be next week. And please don't forget to come to CrossroadsToday.com if you need a score update, highlights, and any articles relating to Crossroads Football Live. Just go to Crossroads Football Live. Now over to, we kicked off the football season actually last night, not tonight, even though we got a lot of scores, over to 6-man football, where the Victoria Gators, they hosted Texas Christian. And for this team, the Tigers, this is a team that came in, had a lot of expectation. For the Gators, they wanted to come in here and try to prove something going into this year. For the Tigers, they had a big run coming up here from quarterback Andrew Eli as he gets a big-time run. But guess what? Look at the hit that comes afterwards here from the Gators. Big-time play, gets the hit, and again, for the Gators, they get the job done. But after a couple plays later, this offense started to go here for the Gators here on this offense. Look at this play here from Micah Alferback, the quarterback, as he finds Eli Groffmeyer there for 6. And the Gators, after that play, look at that, just getting a little stiff arm on the play and finishes off the job because the Gators would get the victory at the end of the day, with the final score of this one being 35-6 over Texas Christian there. And again, big time win. Parker Richardson also had 6 total tackles for the Gators last night. And Caden Groffmeyer was also huge as well. And speaking of Caden Groffmeyer, after the game, I had a chance to talk with him about what it meant for him playing with his brother and getting the job done.
All right, can you spell your first and last name for me, man? Cadengraffmeyer. All right, Caden. So what position do you play here for the Gators right now?
I play.
And again, unfortunately there, we did not get the information out there for Eli Groffmeyer. So again, but they still are big time there, brother connection there between both of the players. And again, they're looking to, again, make a big time run there, finishing off the rest of the way, going against Arlington Heights. Now to close off our show, coming up next for our first Crossroads Football Live, we're going to highlight their Hallettsville Sacred Heart, and we're going to reveal my first Friday Night 5 Power Rankings. That's all there coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Edson offers Velocity Power Sports Outdoor Fun Store.
Live show for Crossroads Football Live. And before we kind of get to our first power rankings I'm going to reveal here, we're going to reveal just one more score out there between Hallettsville Sacred Heart and the Schulenburg Shorthorns. And Schulenburg took care of business one, winning 42-0 in that game. And again, for Hallettsville Sacred Heart, they're going to be back at home there versus Latonia there next week. Now it's time, after all the matches we reveal, time to get to our daily staple here. It's going to happen at the end of the show here at Crossroads Football Live, where we're going to reveal the Friday Night 5 power rankings here. And it's going to be all the teams that we're going to highlight here for the show. It's going to be out there in 2A, 3A, 4A, and 5A when we do all these teams. So without further ado, let's showcase the list here for this one. First, for number 5, I got the Ganado Indians. They got a big time win over the Van Fleck there. Van Fleck Leopards in the game. And guess what? That's important for Ganado. They need to start off strong with a new quarterback in charge, Landon Arriaga. And they got big-time plays from Austin Pena and Logan Burris in the big-time matchup to get the victory in that one. And for Ganado, their defense made some big-time plays as well. And that's going to be huge going the rest of the way for Ganado, especially if they want to make a run, because their defense is the catalyst of the team more than their offense was last year. So Ganado is my number 5 team on the list. We go back to the list here and highlight number 4, whereas the Shiner Comanches, where they won 39-7 earlier versus the Hallettsville Brahmas. And Shiner, they got some big production out of their new quarterback tonight in Jake Semper, but also Jarvis Williams. That guy is an athlete. We saw that he was injured in the state championship game there last year. It's good to see him fully healthy there for Shiner this season. So congrats there for being our number 4 team here in this one. We go out here to number 3, the Refugio Bobcats. Again, they got big production there from Xander Wills there tonight. 169 yards rushing with 4 touchdowns on 16 carries there for Xander Wills. And Ray Lewis also threw for 190 yards in the game for Refugio against Catulia and had 2 touchdowns as well in the game. So for Refugio, they're going to get some momentum back as they play a Thursday night game against London. That'll be there on September 4th. And now that's number 2 team we're looking at, the Edna Cowboys. They were our game of the week, and guess what? They didn't even make it a game of the week because they won big time in that one there, 46-2, only just allowing a safety in the game out there against the Industrial Cobras. And Edna got big production from Trevor Floyd and other players as well to get the victory. And for Edna, I guess that confidence is going to keep building for them the rest of the year. I think it's Goliad at Edna's race to win that kind of district in 3A. And the number 1 team that won the state 7-on-7 tournament there in June is the Tidehaven Tigers. They showcased it in that one against Palacios. I thought that game might have been a little bit closer between both of those teams, but Tidehaven and Cale Russell and Rocky Garcia made some big-time plays. And for Tidehaven, that was a big-time win there for the Tigers. And I think for Coach David Lucio, this team faces a challenge more against Goliad that's got a lot of athletes in Cord Zamsdale, Lamont Franklin, and everybody else in that matchup. So that's going to be interesting to watch how it's going to do between those 2 teams in the battle of the Tigers between Goliad and Tidehaven. And one more reminder, we got a game tomorrow between Shiner St. Paul that opens up at 7 p.m. there on the road versus Kip Sunnyside. We'll see how the Cards do and see if they can get the Steelers starting on a bang there with week 2. And now it's time to end our show here for week 1 of Crossroads Football Live. We had a banger of games there tonight. And thank you all to our sponsor, Victory Auto Group, Palace Bingo, Frostbank, and Velocity Power Sports. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for CFL. If you need a score update or anything else, go to crossroadstoday.com or download our app and look for us on our podcast there on every Monday night. But until there next week, Crossroads, so long from Crossroads Football Live.